I'm sharing my screen. So we discussed that. So how we have framed this, or how framed this curriculum is, why Belgium first is, uh, we are going from easy scenario to increasing the really complex one. So Belgium is a simple scenario. Then we comes Italy, where you have SDI in between. It will be a little more complex. Korea is the complex one, where you have 3 or 4 layers in between. ESP plus we have the government and then the end consumer.
Okay. So yeah, I'm fine with that. If there's a flow and there's a method to the madness, I'm a big believer of trusting the process. So I am fine with that. So I completely trust the process. So if you think that that is the way to go, I will not argue on that one. Let's continue that.
And the reason also would many configurations would repeat. So once you are very much comfortable with the simple configurations, so 60 or 70% configurations in Korea or any country, so to say, will already be a repeated one. So there it will become more easy for you to only focus on things that are changing. So you will be able to visualize clearly how you can, what are the things which you can reuse, what are the things you just need to focus, especially for Korea or for a particular requirement. So that's the whole rationale on how this is scheduled. And we may get more time to discuss Korea, even because depending upon how, because initially we are not doing hands-on. I thought we would club sessions and hands-on together, but we will reserve the time for hands-on when you get your system or when you can play around with your internal system. So maybe that would also work. So we can spend some extra time in Korea, because that's the need, is what I understand.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So starting with Belgium, so what was the regulatory need? Why this journey started in Belgium? So there is a little bit of historical content to it. It all started from 2023, where earlier it was e-invoicing was voluntary in Belgium, but then they started to figure it out that they are having VAT losses, or European Union, especially in these countries, found that there are a lot of fraud and there are a lot of VAT losses that are coming up, which are not matching their actual sales. So somewhere down the line, there was a proposal in March 2023 that there should be a B2B invoicing that should be mandatory for the countries to, for the suppliers and the vendors and the customers to have it. So this was the starting of that reform, the tax reform, whole tax reform that started. And then also this also transpired to Italy, which they also got influenced with the success of B2B, looking at Belgium, and then they introduced more stringent process there. So yeah, that's a little bit of background, little bit of financial uh, background, and also on penalty. So this is the whole reason of why, because there is a penalty linked to everything, then only people will take things seriously. So that's rational. So if somebody is thinking why we in this training, or maybe somewhere down the line, that why this all circus has been done for just sending a e-document to my customer. So there is a lot of scrutiny, or there is a lot of finance behind this, which government observed, and that's the reason they what brought in the whole process to reduce their VAT fraud and the whole efficiency of electronic invoicing. Yeah, so there are various directives, VITA directives and other legal things which you may not have to completely understand because we are not a tax consultant, but just giving a highlight that there are such kind of directives that are already there from the government side. So what is in scope for Belgium is not training scope, but it's the scope where Belgium government expects is a B2B domestic from Belgium company to Belgian company. Document types which they focus on is invoices, credit note, debit note. All the industries comes under this purview. Company sizes, all kinds of sole traders, SMEs. There is no threshold value to it. Like there may be a question that if like GST in India, that if I'm earning or if my turnover is below let's say 10 lakh or 1 crore, I will not file GST. So nothing of that sort is there for Belgium. So at the moment, to my knowledge, B2C transactions mandatory for them. And also maybe I do not have the current mandate, but this was at the time, at least when I checked, that was not a mandate. So again, cross-border, the scenario which I was referring to was the cross-border or the company abroad scenario. I think those are not yet there for Belgium. So they might come up, but at the moment, it is okay to say that Belgium is bit simpler scenario in considering all the other countries. Now, making the architecture little easy to understand here, you would hear about PayPal four corner model. So we discussed about PayPal, what exactly is PayPal, why it is needed. But now breaking that PayPal to the whole four corner model, because it will help you to understand bit in a bit easier manner. If you see SAP slides, they just have one small block or one small circle for PayPal based transaction. But normally in any discussions with a European counterpart, if you hear, they would always term PayPal model with a four corner model. I think we briefly touched it, but again, just to quickly repeat why PayPal was chosen. So they were all having this is a EU-wide standard. So interoperability was not a challenge at all. And then they do not have, everybody do not have to build a new infrastructure, and it was a proven technology. So billions and billions of messages were exchanged within Europe with this PayPal network. So all those confidence, I think somewhere, if I could remember, in February 2024, they passed a law which made this PayPal and the whole e-invoicing a mandate. And now there are also making few more changes effective from January 2026. You can check in the regulatory change manager from SAP on the new legal requirement, and they would give some 23 months or 24 months of implementation period there. So because also business would need to adapt, there would also, since you would understand, if it's not very easy to end-to-end configure and start sending the legal documents from your system. So all those things taken into consideration, what I know is there would be some lead time given after January 2026 so that the companies who are not compliant can still be compliant. Okay. So now moving on to the PayPal model.
Hey, can you go back to the previous page? Like I had a small query. We're in the steps. Yeah. So only for domestic we are using any any invoice from Belgium to maybe any other European Union country. This doesn't get into scope, correct? That's what you're saying.
At least to my knowledge is what I found with the regulations that this whole region needs to be compliant for. So there is no, these are mandatory, but
Okay.
Out of scope.
Just a generic question. Then one is we are using DRC to send the invoice out of the door that are domestic. How about the others ones, like other one directly from VF03, whatever system, SAP system allows?
So there would be two parts, right? You would be sending your billing and invoice document out, and you'll also be receiving, being a customer from your vendor. So inbound. So both channels are open, like both channels, DRC support both. That's what we, I think, discussed, that both incoming.
No, I'm saying about domestic versus international.
I didn't get it.
So what I'm trying to say is there are domestic invoices under B2B that within Belgium itself.
Okay. Yes. That's a local.
You can bill from Belgium to maybe UK also. Agreed? And that becomes an export invoice or maybe international invoice, whatever we want to talk. So that international invoice, how we are still capturing within this domain, or we'll have to still stick with our delivered SAP.
But is there a need for you to send that to UK? Is there a mandate, or is there a need for you to send it?
Because my customer can be sitting within Belgium and another customer can be sitting in UK. Correct?
But
They
which
want my
company
services.
put for the customer? No, your services is fine. Then it is. It will not fall into Belgium to Belgium transactions, right? Like
Yeah, that's
it will
what I'm
not be.
saying. It is not Belgium to Belgium. It is Belgium to UK. Those kind of transactions will have to rely with our SAP delivered functionality rather than DRC. That's how we are
Yeah,
envisioning
there
this.
is no restriction. There is no restriction. This is all from the legal side. There is no restriction. You configure your ports, sender receiver ports. You configure your customers endpoints. So do everything and you can send. There is no restriction. This is only by law. I'm telling. It's not a mandate that
No, okay.
maybe.
Okay. The law, I understand. I'm talking about system configuration and functionality perspective.
It will
Because
not
if the
stop you. It will not restrict based that okay if you are using Belgium invoice, so you cannot configure your sender and receiver port for UK. It will not stop, or no configuration would restrict
so
you
if
doing that.
we are saying like every entity is billing across the world basically. So we'll have to configure all the ports, like from Belgium to we are sending UK, we are sending to India, we are sending to US and different parts of the US. So all of those will have to individually activated.
What will then BTP do for you then? You need to just send it to BTP, tell what is your endpoints or whom you need to send. They have all the pre-configured iFlows. That's what we call as iFlow, country-wise iFlow, which all the endpoints, everything is defined as a customer. So if you say my company code invoice is coming from here, there are SOAP services or which would, based on the configuration, they will route it to where you want. You don't have to individually run behind.
Yeah. No, because then it will be the second step, like the acknowledgement piece. Because no doubt within Belgium you can comply, like you just mentioned before this, you can comply, but others sitting outside Belgium will not be able to comply. Then acknowledgement will be off. So no worries. I got like your what's the answer should be ideal.
Okay. So let's move to the people model quickly. Okay. So again, why PayPal? We'll not discuss that because I think we have discussed this enough on that. Again, there are 4 corner model. C1 is the sender, where your SAP system generates the invoice billing document, whatever e-document you plan to send. C2 is the senders, the DRC cloud edition that handles the PayPal protocol on your behalf. C3 is a receiver's access point which will receive the message. So, like you said, your receiver could be UK, your receiver could be in Belgium, your receiver could be anywhere. It doesn't matter if by business, if you want to do that, no restrictions at all. So the receiver's access point needs to be shared. I think all the iFlows, everything is there in the RCC Cloud Edition. And then the receiver's system, maybe whichever ERP system they uses, where they could process these e-documents, which will come to them, right? So, and acknowledge it back. So we also discussed why it was not direct. Again, not going there. Also, there are various networking terms or networking complexities which PayPal avoids, that is service metadata publishing, that is SMP protocols, so directory service, your participant registration, endpoints for endpoint lookup. All these are networking related technicalities which PayPal would handle. All these are part of PayPal component. If I can go little down. So these are all part of all the networking. So for you as a customer and for the other person as a receiver, you don't have to worry about all these things. So even the metadata locator, SML, all these things, all the access points are taken care by the RCC Cloud Edition and through iFlows. They have standard iFlows defined. So just need to pass the info and it will happen. And all the certification, all the PayPal certification, all the automated endpoint determination, all these logic sits in the RCC cloud. So it's kind of a more, if somebody would have worked in CPI or somebody would have worked more in iFlows, creating iFlows, so they would know that the whole piece in this service would function in terms of iFlows, automatic determination of endpoints. Okay. So this is a four-corner model. Any questions here? Because this is the base. And as we move on to the from one country to another, we will see these kind of models changing. It will not remain constant. That's why take a pause, look at this model, and at least visualize the communication, how it all happens. Because this is the easiest breakup which I could come up with to make the end-to-end picture more clear to you. I take silence as a yes. That
like related to that last receiver piece, business usually have a question like, so from sending perspective, your point number 2, send via people network, you sent it, there will be a receiver access point, but the email ID suppose is incorrect, or that person has left the organization until it was he or she was here and he has left, and now, so how do you handle those kind of situation?
So it will not be an email based. It will be like, for example, your ERP, right? You have created in process manager your method, hook methods, your automatic triggers, right? So it will be in the system. It will not be a per user kind of that. It will be user dependent. It would be more from your system perspective, your ERP system perspective. So sending email is, I would say, it was long back an optional thing that I also need a PDF with email IDs, and it will generally not give one person's ID, because in any organization normally they have a DLs of approvers or DL of a common set of roles that they feel should take care of that.
In our case, like we are still like having actual names. So there, you have showcased at the customer level, there will be 2 fields wherein we can punch in the email email addresses, correct? And
Yes.
once we create invoice, okay, once we create the invoice against those that customer, automatically you pick those email addresses, the 2 maximum email addresses that we can put at the customer level.
So we are not sending it individually to a particular, let's say in your invoice, you are creating 5-10 invoices. So there is an organization attached to that particular customer. So there would be, I can show that to you.
Because I'm not able to honestly, like, until, or if you have already showcased, then it's a different thing.
No, I'll show you. Maybe I'll clear your doubt what exactly you mean. So you think in a way that these informations, right, whatever is sent, it's loading. So meantime, these information that are sent to whoever is your end customer, these key information works upon the sender receiver IDs and also the business document. Like for example, VAT. So there will be a supplier party VAT IDs, right? So all these IDs combined together to decide where exactly or to whom exactly it is sending. So it's not mainly system or person dependent, I would say, not system, but person dependent. You're not sending it to individual person's mail ID. Otherwise, we would not need all these circuses. So we will have a sender receiver configuration. And this would go and sit in the central system, the ERP. So if you look at ERP, have different users. Right?
Maybe I'll intentionally pitching in. So basically, our assumption is we have some application called as DRC. Similarly, the receiver end should also have an application that can host whatever our SAP, whatever Moody's DRC system is going to send them. Like
exactly.
we are
so
talking
they
about
should
Belgium.
have a response. They should have a response processing mechanism, right?
Okay.
First thing, like when you had SAP, you can visualize you have outbound and inbound messages that will come to your system. Then there will be a flow that will be triggered. Very similar, anyone in the business. So PayPal will have handshakes, right? One handshake it took from you, another it gives back to somebody. So somebody also needs to have a mechanism to receive these e-documents, and it will not be a particular person or a particular.
That's what I was actually trying to look like. Where is that hook? System is too slow, maybe. Okay, so coming back, Advay, like what are those elements? Like one, you said one, we are already providing those are email IDs at the customer level. Second, you said that there is a VAT registration ID, which
I'll come to it. It's there in the guide, so I'll come to it. So if you see, these are the mapping first, then show you.
because within our system, that means within Moody's SAP system, we should be having all of those identifiers.
Yeah, you see here UBL XML structure that I mentioned. One minute. So these are the mandatory fields: invoice identification, supplier, party VAT, and then if you come down, then you have VAT rates. So VAT format is very critical for them. If this doesn't happen, then it would fail. So there's a particular format
VAT is mandatory.
Yes,
but for EU regions, like a lot many customers sometimes do not
supplier
provide us
party VAT format here is mandatory. BE VAT, that is the VAT ID.
Okay. Okay. If
probably talking about generic.
Yes, we need to, because
I think from e-invoicing perspective, if you are utilizing a common channel, I think having a tax ID would be a mandate.
Yeah. Because even like customers, sometimes they don't provide the VAT IDs. Incorrect VAT ID formats. Oh, okay. So we got you. Like if VAT ID is there, like eventually VAT ID is going to be tied to a company. So then you don't even have to look at the customer.
That's what I was explaining.
That means customer email IDs don't play any role then? Or much role?
I don't think so. Until if like a special mechanism, only mail delivery or a PDF also they need. There was one scenario which I could remember. So what happens in a withholding scenario, withholding tax basically, whenever you whatever tax or whenever you're filing your withholding tax right to the government, what government expects is whatever where you're incoming from whoever, whatever your business partners you have used to calculate your incoming VAT, all those business partners should receive in PDF the copy of their charge or whatever withholding charge they have calculated. So imagine in a system, a company like Google, where are using DRC product, and more than 60,000 PDFs are mailed individually to these business partners. So this is a specific, and they need to maintain all the email IDs, DLs, where it needs to go. So that's a different type of channel, but still a legal requirement, right? So DRC still supports that. So maybe if you read more about withholding tax, then you would learn that this is a mandate that a company needs to send a copy to all the business partners.
Way in the withholding tax, we are giving 1099, right? For example, yes. 1099, we are including all the invoices throughout the whatever we did business. The similar way in the sales side also, like we are not giving for each invoice when we are printing, right? 1099, we are printing take X vendor. So all the invoices which we did business throughout the year, we are consolidating and printing 1099.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we are consolidating. That's what you are saying.
Yeah. So you won't send all your business partner a copy of the PDFs what were deducted from them?
We said the PDF, like there is a limit $600.
Exactly.
If anything, doing business with us more than 600, all vendors will get the 1099. We print into the PDF and send.
That's what I'm referring to. So how do you do it currently? you use some software, right, to send it, or manually? How is?
We are sending the mail. Currently, we are printing and sending a mail, regular mail, use mail, not through
Right.
email, not electronically. We are sending through
Yeah,
postal.
email only. Yes, it needs to go through email, but you are manually sending those email or through spools, right? Whatever, it
Correct.
would
We
generate
are
a spool
taking
and
this
send it
pool and we are printing and mailing to the individual vendors.
with
That's what we are
DRC.
doing.
With DRC, if you generate a report 99 in the system, it would automatically create the correspondence document for you, and it will also, when you say bulk send, there is a button called bulk send. If you click on the bulk send, it will automatically send those documents immediately. So it's just a matter of one click in DRC.
I think that functionality maybe we have to explore this time, but every time maybe I don't know. It's just mandatory to print and send it as per US law, but yeah, that functionality we have to check.
Okay. So Suraj, if you're there, why does the system gets little slower at this time? I'm not sure, because morning it was quite fast.
Okay, just give me a minute. Let me check with the vendor. Okay, meanwhile, guys, since we are paused here, we have sent the link of Q&A sheet, which is there in the chat box right now. So if anything comes to your mind from the screen, you can take a screenshot and keep all your questions parked in that sheet. So once we are done with the session, once we are done with the agenda, we can refer the sheet and try to solve all these queries. Let me check with the vendor. I'll get back to you on this.
Sure. Meanwhile, what I wanted to show you all was an XML of the existing e-document where you would see all those fields in a very user format, recognizable manner. So there you can able to relate more on what are these fields, how the end person would be receiving that, what was the document even. So there is an HTML view that will show you that how these documents would look. There is also a flow. So that's why I use manage electronic document, because it also gives me a flow of these whole process in my, it's like, yeah, open.
Okay.
So let's take an example. Here, if I click on display preview XML, so if you see here, you have the authority identifier, right? So this is the identifier from the authority. This is your
receiver's
sender,
identifier.
receiver identifier. Plus, if you see, all the invoice would start from below. So it's a billing document, it is the details, all the invoice details, everything would, who is your, this is basically, I think, would be your customer whom you are sending to.
Okay.
All these
Name
details
sheet,
are
okay.
there in XML. So this is the XML representation of your e-document, basically. That's what, and these are all generated by the system, and the methods that I was talking about in the process manager, right? All the validations, all the backend ABAP methods are used to generate this XML out of your billing document or invoices. This is what the customer.
Actually, yeah, because I was still actually, that's the reason I was just thinking, like, how does my system know what would be the receiver authority?
These
like,
you need to configure. That's all. These are things needs to be configured or needs to be told to various steps. Like these are all BTP configurations where in BTP all these things in an iFlow will be defined. That invoices coming from this should go to this. This is the endpoint, and this information should also come from your generated
customer.
XML.
Actually, a problem.
You are vendor. You are sending, then you are vendor.
Yeah, I'm sender. Like a receiver information, I'll have to punch in, and that receiver information will always be sitting at the business partner level. Correct. The receiver.
Correct. Receiver configuration is different. The authority, like this authority configuration would be different, and the end user, the receiver would be different. It will not go direct. That's why we are not doing a directly B2C, right? It's B2B. You are sending it to PayPal through BTP, and then PayPal is sending it to the customer.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, a problem. Yeah, because I was still. Actually, that's the reason I was just thinking, like, how does my system know what would be the receiver authority? like,
This
people will be sending the customer as well as legal authorities also? Like
No, here legal authorities not
no,
involved.
not involved, or just only customer piece.
Correct.
Yeah. Let's see, like
Okay.
when we'll go in depth, like.
Sure. Then
for example, invoices, if you want to send that to legal authorities also, what is the process like?
that will come in Italy. So Italy has this
Italy
SDL
and
inbuilt.
Korea also some examples also there, right?
Korea is one
then
level
we can-
ahead. Korea has two ASP and legal authorities in between.
Okay. So you will show us both options there in the, when you're doing Italy and Korea.
Yeah. I am not sure why. But again, I just wanted to show you more. So if you click on this display HTML, it will show you the invoice, what we call it as picture of an invoice kind of a display.
Okay,
here.
PDF
So
kind
you'll
of
be
thing.
able to, yeah, in HTML version, not exactly
Okay.
PDF, but yeah, PDF kind of thing.
Okay.
So
It's very slow.
let's some issue is there. Okay, so any document, if I click and display HTML, these things you will be using when you try to explore more on e-document cockpit. These are the functionalities you should use as the end user. But that's fine. Let's not waste more time. But options. So there is a view. This view is a chart view. It's a very nice view which will show you from where, what are your source document and where it is going, how much is in error, how much have completed in which stage they are. So this will show you a picture of a stage kind of a display. Fine.
So
Is it a generic flow or it is for each transaction where that particular transaction, that e-document is?
No, it's for the whole. It's for the whole. Whatever it resides in this e-document cockpit at this moment, it shows the complete flow. How many accounting documents are there? How many billing documents are there? How many have been in created state? How many of them have been reversed statuses? You remember we configured the status in process manager.
This process flow is for all countries or handful of countries?
It's currently is showing for Belgium since we selected Belgium e-invoice.
Okay.
So we clicked here, right? So we click this view, this open. If we click on any other country like Hungary, it will show the Hungary is.
I'm just interested. I'm interested for Korea. Like if we have that, I think this would be a good sort of like a view.
In system we don't have. In system we don't have Korea, neither the company code nor the flow for Korea.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
When I look at this one, this particular managed electronic document, is this available for our version? Yes.
Yes, it is supported 2023.
2022? No, I'm just thinking our version, 2022 FPS02. Yeah, it is there. So.
It should be, yeah.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay.
So this could be something cool that we can basically show to them.
Okay. Then coming on to this UML structure, we just saw that. So invoice identification, then supplier party VAT format. So this is a particular format, and this is where, as an end user, you do not have to validate these things. It will be automatically. It may not be the same format in your billing document or invoice, right? So it will automatically put it, because format differs how it is stored in SAP tables and how the authority would need it. So all the mapping, all the conversions of the country format will happen through underlying classes and methods from process manager that we look. So that's where the beauty of the product is, that for each country you you do not have any tension on what exactly would be the conversion or what the authorities would need. That's all done in standard in this system, in this product. Okay, so that's why you can explore different documents, different format, how does it go, but normally the VAT format that is critical is B, like a country code, 10 digits, 9 digits, check digit, leading zeros if needed. So this is how the government
Ajay, but
expects.
when we create as a customer, system automatically validates the format of the VAT ID. So we have to again enable I think when we discussed, you said that
if there is a custom, if there is something which you want to validate on top of it, then, but these are all done, all the validations, all the conversions are already taken care by SAP, underlying programs.
So basically you are saying that if we use the SAP delivered field, it will automatically validate this particular VAT format. But if we have created something custom, then for that custom field, we can basically enable DRC body to validate the VAT before it basically get sent out to the customer, to the authorities.
Correct.
Okay.
Then rates, I think we have a niche, right? So you may know that VAT rates, these are all Belgium specific, and they need to be in the same format for their calculation. So they have different slabs again, not similar to India, I would say, but yes, 0, 6, 12, 21. So all these rates are an important factor that goes in the XML. Then there are different specific validations I talked about, numbering, sequencing. There is a reverse charge, if at all. These are all business processes related validations, but they are very much specific.
We don't do this 0.17.
Sequential invoice numbering per calendar year.
We don't have this enabled. We do that for India, but we don't do that for Belgium.
Okay.
We haven't got that requirement. Is that a hard requirement from your side?
If you're, I don't know if that would be a problem, or this is because business side, is this a standard process everybody follows, or it's optional? I'm not sure on that. This is from the specifications that I took, that what is needed for Belgium. Might be optional, might be, if at all, it's like, for example, what I would consider is a VAT format is a very much mandatory thing. But if this business process itself is an optional, then maybe not.
Yeah.
But I'm not much aware of this business process exactly in my normal scenario of ST or FI. This particular process I have not come across.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember, because we do that particular activity for India. Like we every year we reset that sequence, but we never do it for anything apart from India. So that's why it's sort of like piqued my interest. That is that maybe a hard requirement, but yeah.
Maybe you can note it down. Maybe you can check also.
Yeah, take a note of this one.
How do the other?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
0.17. Like for India, we reset the sequence, correct? Every year, every calendar year. So,
but it's a Belgian requirement, correct?
Yeah. I'm saying, but for Belgium, we don't reset the sequence, correct? Every calendar year. Yeah. But what are they saying is, for e-invoicing, it's a requirement that we'll probably have to do it. So let's take that as point when we do Belgium. At that particular point of time, we'll basically talk to Kalina and figure out, is this a hard requirement or good to have.
Okay.
Also for VAT ID, just check if you're using delivered, and if you're using delivered, like is the validation enabled for this VAT format?
VAT format, it's already enabled.
It's enabled.
You are talking about MA, correct? No. MA, no. It's a generic field.
What is the difference between MA and MIS? MA we are doing custom?
MA we are directly getting at VBAK level. That's not validated.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But still, Vinny, the sequence numbers are there in the system, but only thing you're not resetting, right? Like That's
Yes.
what you are asking. Okay.
Yes.
The number sequence is there, but not from the beginning. Like if one sequence ends, the next sequence start from the next year, but it will continue the same way.
Yeah, continue. So, but here they are saying that invoice sequence number has to maintain for each calendar year. And I think when we do MA redesign, Avnish, we need to take that in mind that for countries where we have e-invoicing mandate, we have to look at the customer design and figure out that we should move to the customer, like the business partner validation, the default business partner validation. We should not do anything custom there. Because at the ingress itself, I want to stop that particular customer. I don't want to validate at the DRC level, because at that particular point of time, we are out of the game. The invoice has already gone out to the customer, and there's nothing that we can do at the DRC level. So we have to validate at the ingress itself when the business partner comes in. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll discuss more when we talk about this particular piece then.
Okay.
But I'm just wondering that how we're solving this one with EVA solution, because if the VAT format is like not getting validated, this would be a big problem.
It will require end-to-end data cleanup.
Yeah, Rami, this would probably come to us once DNA team start looking at that integration.
Yeah, I think I have a question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
VAT, as of now, like as per the current system design, like it is a standard process. Like it is generating based on the country key and post report while creating BP. But can you go back to the previous slide? This product. Yeah. So this is a enhancement that we have to do, like the custom VAT we have to generate.
No, I think
BE plus 10 digits.
No. This is he had just given us the rule that how the things are. But I think the main issue is when we create the business partner for MA business, we are not passing the VAT ID at the time of the customer creation. We are basically taking that particular details at a time of the order creation. So it becomes a transactional attribute at that particular point of time, and we may be basically storing it in some non-standard field. So because it is storing at a non-standard field, there is no validation. So there is a good chance that the value may not be correct. Okay. So we may probably have to go back to standard, wherever we are capturing the tax ID, which is getting printed on the invoice. We basically have to strip that value out from a current business process and push it to the BP level in the delivered SAP field, so that we avoid doing that validation at the DRC level. Because if you think about it, if the VAT ID is wrong and we validate at the DRC level, there is no point, because you have created the contract, you have sent out the invoice to the customer, and then you're pulling at DRC. So you're already too late in the game. So at that particular point of time, you can't correct the VAT ID. So we need to basically stop the transaction happening at the business partner level itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And one thing I did not get, sorry, in between the conversation is why would you reset the counter for sequential invoice? Because the requirement
that's the requirement at 0.17, isn't it?
It would be, what I understood, that it must be unique per year. So it would be sequential. It should be all the IDs should be unique every year.
It says per calendar year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's per calendar year. We don't maintain per calendar. That's what we need to say.
Okay. Got it.
See, we already know that there should not be any gaps in, like, for whatever reason. If you do like a credit rebill or whatever, like if you just sort of like scrub out any invoices, we already know that a lot of jurisdiction doesn't allow us to have. From a sequence perspective, it has to be, you cannot basically send 1, 2, 3, then don't send 5, 6, and then send 7, 8, 9. They will basically question you why the 2 numbers are getting missing. So how we have solved for this, we have basically introduced external and internal number ranges. So internal number ranges for us, and then external number ranges, we basically maintain a very sequential number. But But I don't know exactly from Belgium perspective, are we doing external internal? But the main thing is we are not resetting that particular sequence by calendar year is what my question is. So we'll probably have to figure out what's going on there. Adil, you're good?
Yeah. And
okay, yeah, let's continue, please.
Okay. So now coming to the RCC Cloud Edition, this again would require a separate license, as I mentioned, but little bit on the architecture. So it's connected to S4HANA, the source system, through RFCs, and you have HTTP connections directly, very tightly coupled, since both are SAP products. So then there are cloud connectors, SAP cloud connectors, which do not replicate data. It is just like, I would say, creating the copy of data, whichever is required. So, and then you have BTP, all these services, which are the DZCC part, is as a part of a service in BTP. Then inside this cloud service, it has access to PayPal network, validations on their own, and then response processing. So three key areas which it would do is, you will have network, all the network access, sender, receiver, configuration, iFlows, everything. And it's also configured per country. So if you go to DRCC Cloud Edition, you search for your country, they will give country specific iFlows, which is just like a plug and play. So, and all these response processing, all the status updates comes out of the box. So few steps on the configuration part, BTP. BTP, I'm not the expert, but I've captured these steps where how you can configure a BTP consultant or a BTP expert would be able to easily configure these steps. These are very normal steps for any connections which goes to BTP. So RFC destinations, then you have to define your backend system, set up access control. All these are standard processes, certificate management, SSL, certificate trust. So all these steps are, I have explained these steps in detail, but any of the BTP consultant can easily do this configuration. So you have mentioned the note numbers also here for ease of your use, so that you can refer this when you do your particular implementation.
Sure. Yeah. I think pretty much all setup is there for us. So only thing is to acquire the DRC cloud. I think once we got the project approved, we will start, getting the service enabled. Cloud Connect, we're already using it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. I think is there any step missing? Okay. No. So these are the steps. Like if you would share with any of the BTP experts, like certificate management, what needs to be done, there are sub steps which I mentioned, so they can easily configure as per your need. Now, coming to Belgium specific configuration or configurations, this certain set of configuration would be common for almost all the countries. There would be again country specific configuration would change. For example, just giving an example, that for Belgium, it may be when you are activating the source type, it would be, let's say company code for B01, you have invoices, SD and FI invoice. For other countries, it may be more documents there. So depending upon what document is required in which country, is configured would change per country, but the overall framework would remain same. So let's start with the configuration. So why do we need to activate the source type? I think we covered this in the initial time, but still, let's ask the audience why there is a need to activate this particular source types. Meanwhile, I'll go to the configuration. So that, and again, before all this, one that was a common configuration like the one which we started with is the activation of the switch that you confirmed is active in the system. I just wanted to show you the Glow DRC switch in the system is active. This should be active for getting all the DRC features in. So this is a switch that needs to be activated.
Yes, it could be because when you do the activation, SMD licensing.
We can't hear you. Can you speak a bit louder?
Hello. Yeah. So
Yes,
what
sir.
I was saying, activation may be required so that SAP, I mean, based on the licensing, it start charging you. That's why
Yes.
activation is needed.
Yes, so all the features, all the DRC functionalities will start appearing when you activate this Glow DRC feature. So there are certain clauses, so also segregation. So what SAP says is, let's say, if you don't want a statutory reporting piece, you just need e-document piece, then there will be a separate switch that would be there for activation of only e-document, EDO underscore one switch is there that would only activates specific e-document related functionalities. So now when we went in the very initial time, you see with each country there were two options that were coming. One was for e-document, one was for statutory reporting. Similarly, they also take care of the old and new customers. Like the old customers who have migrated, they may have a different license agreement altogether, but they do need to support them to certain extent. So for them, the licensing agreement is totally different. And also on the feature level, so there are advanced license for advanced feature and basic license for just meeting the regulatory requirement. So at least in e-document, mostly all of these are legal requirements, so there is no advanced feature as such. But in statutory reporting, there are certain functionality that will not work if you take an advanced license, and they will bill you accordingly. Plus company code combination. So all these together is a very tricky process for them. So yeah, we got time, no time, just logging in again. Okay, so nevertheless, so if you activate this piece, so that means that your invoices, like source type, all the invoices or the document which we have mentioned here would trigger any document creation clubbed together with the BT event that we mentioned. So both the BT trigger plus this view that we maintain in the settings, both combined together to make sure which will trigger the e-document creation automatically.
So when you're showing the process steps at that particular point of time, you were saying that we need to map the source type with the company code, correct?
Invoice,
the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here is
But
so.
But before that, you are saying that we have to first enable the source type also, or you're talking about here just a mapping between the company
Just a
code and the
mapping.
source type.
Just a mapping to say the system that for, let's say for Belgium, this company code, both in invoice and billing document needs to be sent as a e-document.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. That. Okay. No, that is fine. Okay.
Then e-document
Then,
interface.
and we are activating both in file invoice and like accounting document and invoice, correct? In your previous step.
Yes. And
Yeah.
it's
And both can be activated.
We are not 100%
Yes.
sure on that particular point.
No. Actually, it was done in the system. We saw we had both. If we go to manage billing document for this case, let me come to the document. Let me just hold on. So if you see here, we have these all billing documents. These are all accounting documents.
Okay, so basically we can
journey
enable both.
entry.
Okay.
That's what we were discussing. So in my view, we can enable both. And then you said you were having some errors. So I told maybe there would be some specific errors, but ideally both can be done. So
okay.
this is from the journal. This is from the billing document.
Avnish, can we try this?
Going
And
with the
capture the
billing,
error that we are getting?
sorry, I didn't got like, we cannot, how can we come here? Like, can you please repeat what you meant?
So there was a question in the first class. Sorry, Vinit, go ahead.
Whether we can enable both FI and invoice wall, correct?
Yes, yes.
Which
yes.
Rami shared.
Yeah.
Rami shared. Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, from a product perspective, we would be able to enable both of them as a way showing on the screen. What I'm saying is, can you look at this particular configuration and share if you're getting any error message?
I think it's not.
Because that was not a standalone. I think
in our system configuration is already done both FI and SD. I see both Korea and Belgium. Maybe Rami might have done no others with it. In our system already is there configuration.
I did a quick check at Krishna. So yeah, I did the configuration to add source type. Yeah.
Both, right? FI and SD both are there in the specific path. I see it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
it
both
allows both of them. Yeah, it allows both of them. There's no validation as such. There's no conflict.
Okay.
Then Rami, you got issue, correct?
I think I got issue. I couldn't get a chance to replicate it. So I think when at the data configuration, I got some issue. Probably let's look at the document what Advait is sharing.
Okay. Yes, agreed. Sorry, maybe you can continue, go back to. And in here, like both are display billing document only. Where is that FI document? Like
this is the journal entry. So if you see, this is the accounting document.
Accounting document.
Right? Yeah, it's going journal. It's going to the journal, and then the plain one is billing document.
You have different numbers. Okay, different number range. Oh, sorry, maybe I'll try to repeat the question again. Maybe in as of what we are using is we are having same number range for billing document and accounting document. Then how that would look like?
It is not that question, Avnish. Once you enable it at the SD level, that's it. Like I think these are two different sources. Don't think it from the same document perspective. Think from a source perspective. One source is SD, one source is direct general ledger. And like you're basically pulling up the you can also do a customer entry at GL level, correct? So so you can basically pull the information from there as well. So it is basically showing you two use cases where you don't confuse from that perspective. Okay.
It's not an accounting document, FI accounting document when an invoice is released. Correct?
Yeah. So
when you go to the billing document, can you see the document flow?
I think we are jumping ahead. Let's look at the second level of configuration where we actually do the mapping. I think at that particular point of time it will become more clear.
But you can see the complete document flow.
I'm trying to get some clarity, like the FI and the billing. See, we have hierarchy document flow is there, right? So the billing document mean like that.
Okay, they are also having this different number range.
This is my clarity. Okay, got it.
This is a demo system. I'm not sure how they follow, but it is.
Okay. No, we can follow like same versus different number range. Your invoice is ending with 5404 and your document entry general document is ending with 6.
9400. Okay, can you go back and show me one more time on the billing and so here the ending is 6 is the accounting document. Invoice is the 5404, right?
Yeah. Can you show in that migration?
Yeah, cockpit.
I know. Sorry, actually, we jump. Billing manager, basically.
Yeah, can you really take back this one, right?
Okay, here.
54.
Open the BE one. Open the BE one.
B1 is journal. Okay, you want to go to journal entry. And one thing, Finit, here I'd like to add. So this configuration is again based on company code. So as you mentioned, right, that Moody's uses a lot of company code. So that much of maintenance you need to have here.
Okay.
Where do you want me to go?
You are good for now. You can continue whatever your flow. You can continue with your flow.
This is a direct GL entry, like looking at the document here.
Yeah, this is the finance document, right? You manage journal entry. It calls to the manage journal entry. Then here we can see all journal entry documents. Right?
Yeah, but okay.
So you can navigate from the app to here, right?
Yes, I told we can navigate to the source.
Manage electronic documents it comes to manage journal entry, right? Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Basically, you can drill down to the source.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So we proceed ahead. Then we were talking about interfaces. Okay. Why do we need an interface to be defined? Anything, any idea which you get looking at the type of interface and
inbound, outbound?
Yeah, and also to certain extent, how e-documents are sent to the external system or received from the external system. So the whole communication method we need to define with all the endpoint configuration. So interface type, proxy, or whatever is your interface type, which direction is it? So this ID, BEIN, we saw in this process manager that there were inbound triggers, outbound triggers. So all these interfaces will define which direction the invoice should flow and also in which formats. Like, for example, what should be the format of transformation. So that would also be decided during this interface, e-document interface. So this would be already connected to a web program. So as soon as you mention the interface type with a particular country like BE in INV out, it will automatically take that as your Belgium invoices that would go out would need to be through this interface and this transformation needs to be applied. Go to the system.
What does this interface ID information holds internally?
Which type of communication you want? Is it you are just sending the invoices or you're also a customer who will receive the invoice or a document basically?
And this is pre-delivered. I mean, we don't have to like.
Yes.
Yeah, configuration we have to do like just to specify the connection details, but the interface ID details will be already set up.
Correct. With certain, like if you're activating a country, Belgium, that's why you remember in the earlier stage during activation of the countries, we had all countries checkbox, right? So there again, based on licensing, it will consider all countries. But if you're activating B, let's say, or Korea, so all the functionality, all the BC sets, whatever out of the box standard gives, everything would be there.
So what
and this interface ID is based on the source activation, correct? Like this is for invoice, there was one for finance also, correct?
So what is the proxy interface type? Like we have a standard and the different types are there, right? Web services, XML generation, and so the proxy is the customized one. What is the proxy interface type?
Proxy is just one interface type to connect the outbound source.
So what is the difference between the proxy and standard one, standard implementation, or maybe you can give me an example like a web
what
XML.
standard Standard implementation of what?
No, we have a different options, right? When you go to the configuration, you have a different options. Standard implementation and the proxy like web services, proxy XML. So maybe you can give an example. What is the proxy web services and proxy XML? How it works? When we open the configuration, right, you can see a lot of options, right, and interface types. I'm trying to understand more.
So you would have a proxy here would be the connector, right? From where you would connect host port or the receiver port, from which cloud connector you would connect. So this would be the proxy to connect to the BTP, the DRCC service. So it is a kind of a proxy host and
it's a communication. A proxy server is a communication where you route all of your incoming, outgoing calls through a gateway.
What I'm trying to understand here, we have 4 options are there in the system. I'm trying to understand like the different options. Proxy is there, standard.
All are different communication methods, whichever suits your communication channels or connections.
Krishna, you remember for TIS, we have configured those proxy connections where we were getting that HTTP error. So it is that particular piece.
So similar to that.
Yes. Similar.
That is one example, but there says like a proxy web, a proxy XML. If you configure the proxy, maybe you have to do more later, whether it's a web application, XML download kind of thing. Maybe we can do later. We can continue your view. I don't want to stop you here.
Okay.
But where are you seeing this proxy option? Are you looking at the DDO interface view?
I'm looking here in the configuration, Vineet, like Rami, in the define interface type for EDOC.
Which view you are checking basically? I mean, in that view, EDI
SM30 maybe.
No,
not the view. I'm looking in the SPR configuration.
SPR. Okay.
No, Krishna. Okay, this is what I see here. You're looking at SPRO. This is the I think document interface what Beth is trying to share. I don't see that option to choose the proxy type. This is what it just say interface ID outbound inbound. There is no option to choose the proxy web service here.
Let me share my screen. I can show you quickly. I'm asking about this one. So here you can see different options. So this is what he's going through step by step, right? I see here. So he explained all these things. Then I'm going to this one. I'm asking these type of questions like that. That's what I'm looking. So he's explaining proxy, web service proxy, and XML proxy, and there is a customer specific is also there. There is a standard implementation using AF is also there. That's what I'm trying to get clarity.
I think we're going to standard implementation AF. Within the AF, we need to see that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because here in the training system, I do not see any SPRO node configured. So there is again some issue with the configuration. So that's why I was going view by view, SM30 view, where these all configurations would sit. So that was my challenge. Yeah, because in training system, I was not able to check that. Okay, I'm sharing my screen again. And these are all a total domain in itself. Like for example, a basis consultant or a BTP consultant would work in this day in and day out. And just another transaction is a manager. So again, if you open, it will open a connection on the web or the internet page, and then they would carry out the configuration. They will open a web browser, and then the whole SQL management interface they would create. So you have to log in through your SAP credentials and then navigate to the web service configuration tab. So these all are mainly configurations for the port, the logical port where you would be sending, receiving. So all those and this would be common across all the countries who are using this DRCC as a channel to send and receive.
Sure.
Okay. Few more. So authentications and trust configuration again would be your SSL client certificate, etc. So that I am not going through. Okay. So any document type assignment that we saw. So there will be an e-document assignment that we need to do. I think.
What is the document type assignments? Can you elaborate on this a little bit?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. Okay. So there are configurations, right, for all the different types. We saw in the beginning, we had invoice, we had similarly, there would be credit notes, debit notes. So all would have a different type assigned to it. So there we need to assign different document types there. So system must know which SAP document gets mapped to which electronic document type. So it will has to create the format, the UBL format, right? So it's the mapping to tell the system for which SAP document type maps to which electronic document type. That's how it will connect the Belgium scenario to the UBL XML generation. That's the reason it is done.
So in that case, for example, take a document, like finance document or DR document type, right? We are going to assign those finance document types to e-document type only 1:1.
Yes.
We cannot assign more than one in that case.
No.
I mean, if I want to assign two e-document types, it's not possible, right?
At least not to my knowledge.
Yeah, that's what it says in the configuration. Yeah, got it. That means like only the billing type can assign to e-document type and finance document type can assign to the document type kind of thing.
Good.
Okay.
So, and where can I see that navigation, like SPRO navigation? Are you mentioning it somewhere?
I mentioned the views type.
Because it says
view.
step
This
4.
is the view. Here you can go to SM30 maybe.
Okay, SM30 and okay. Got it.
SM30 or SM34. I think any of these two, either a view cluster or a view. So you would find there.
Okay.
So that is the must configuration we have to do, that document type configuration to the electronic document.
Yes.
It's not a mandatory.
No, yes, it is mandatory. Otherwise, how would a system know that for which type of document you want to generate, which type you don't? Because it will, again, like we mentioned, there were only billing document and invoice, right? But if you also want to send credit note, debit note, there would be requirement for that as well. So how would a system know what mapping to be done and what documents to assign?
Yeah, the sequence of steps of e-document type to accounting document, e-document type or billing document type, and the e-document type to the process type. So can you give me more information, like e-document type to the accounting document, for example, RV, right? Then again, we have to configure e-document type to the process type also.
It will come later. Wait for it. So it's next. So
next tab is there. Yeah.
Yeah, things are still there with your system. So that would be. I think that's a good starting point. Anyway, more than the training system, I feel you have the configurations, SPROs. So okay.
A quick question, do you see any customers, like major companies, implemented this process at their SAP landscape?
Yes, many
Okay.
companies have, and they are like very big.
Okay. I mean, is it okay if you can name those? I mean,
To my knowledge, yeah, Nestle, Google from Europe. There are a lot of
company with financial services sector like I don't know, S&P Global, won't be any bank.
financial lot of, I would say we have almost in Europe. What I can see is finance sector.
SAP Global is an Oracle shop. They don't use SAP. I think.
At least S&P, I don't know, but actually most of the German companies anyway are using it. BMW, then from Romania, a lot of companies that are into Safety, plus I think N number.
So all these companies, what you mentioned, are using DRC code.
Yes, and then the partners, Deloitte and other partners have their own customer base whom they have implemented this DRC. So Pepsi is one. If you ask me finance sector, in my view, Nestle is very big. So all the processes of the Nestle are running on DRC, CFIN systems, and major success stories with Nestle. Bosch is one. So Bosch is also a very, very heavy user for this. And then lot many customers are already using, big and small.
Gotcha.
You said like 5,000, 6,000 customers, right? Or global?
More
globally?
than that. In on-premise, I would say more than 32,000 customers are already using somewhere or the other. But in cloud, there are some 3,000 customers. So majority of them are on-premise or private cloud.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So on-prem means it should be the earlier versions of it then, right? Correct?
Private cloud or on-premise, like HEC-like environment. Call it as private cloud, but OP is public cloud. Sorry, cloud for us is a public cloud. So still
right. HEC, yeah, HEC or whatever. Yeah, okay.
HEC is the private cloud.
Yeah.
The public cloud is different. So public cloud we have less. So public cloud, it's more easy for the customers. They don't have to do anything. SAP does everything for them. But again, if you take into consideration the cost of the database, it would be really, really crazy. Like the units, the database units and all these HANA tables will get filled very quickly with the amount of financial data that comes in. So imagine something like scenario. Then you need to raise blocks. You need to increase the memory every time, and then it will burn the pocket.
And there are a lot of feed-off tables also. It's not just like a handful. There are quite a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. But EDOC is still okay when you do regulatory reporting, right? Statutory reporting. There, if you do a Safety-like scenario, like for Romania or Poland, the amount of document that gets generated, I would say I've never seen any regulatory requirement where they were generating some 23, 24, 32 GBs of document that needs to go from the system. So, and
on the compliance, Advai, you mentioned that the connection to the third parties, particularly in the US and European market, US at least, you mentioned that they have an integration with Vertex. I saw only there are two, which is Thomson Reuters and then Clover.
Vertex is also there for US sales and use tax.
Is it? Okay. I thought actually the connectivity somehow, I was just looking at one of the Deloitte partner was doing a presentation on DRC. He only mentioned those two, Thomson Reuters and Tax. CCS,
it's part of, I think, Reuters. So Vertex is also there. I don't know the formal agreement or how they can go to the public.
Yeah, but also because the fact that obviously we are deviating from the topic since others are on the break, but look like there is a separate license also because see, let's say you're filing the tax returns, right? And that will go to their gateway. And that means you have to own that product. You cannot just simply do it from SAP itself. So there is some kind of bundling,
Because
that is what they are talking also. You have to have that product as well.
So they are like having their reporting, right? Like the crucial piece of reporting lies with them. So maybe I'm not into more of a licensing, how that would work, but yes, that's a partnership that they do.
Correct,
So they would also have their piece of.
In a way, it makes sense in a way, right? Let's say suppose you have DRC, right? You are filing tax returns. In US tax returns, it's monthly. In Canada, you can do it quarterly. Let's say you in a Moody's landscape, for example, we use Vertex only for transactional tax only. There's no return; they don't use it. They do it through E&Y filing. Okay, you have their own tools, and that's how they extract the data from transactional reporting from SAP and Vertex from here. And they prepare the returns and they file it. That's how they do it across the board, right? Specific to US, you have to file for all the 50 states, right? So let's say through DRC, you're trying to file it. Unless you have the return, you won't be able to use that kind of like gateway, the format, the one that you're talking about. The same way, let's say you are using Vertex for a transactional tax calculation engine. You want to use the CCH, for example, right? The order approval. You won't be able to do that unless you have some kind of, switch or a licensing as a product to activate that, right? So that's what I was just wondering. Even the guy said the same thing. One of the Deloitte guy was talking about. He didn't mention Vertex. That's what I was just curious. But anyway, that's the discussion point only. Just curious.
So, question, Advait. So, does DRC having an on-prem version of the solution, or only cloud and BTP?
We are looking at the on-prem only, no?
Right now, the one we have, Ravi, it's an on-prem version of it. It's a hack, but it is on-prem.
No, I get it. My question is that I'm talking about DRC cloud.
Okay.
The DRC cloud is BTP. So that we're going to connect to the backend. They're still offering DRC on-prem version also, where everything
No. So that's the service they intentionally built on cloud, on pay-as consumption model that they have. So that's a particular service with particular strategy. They have built it on cloud. There is no on-premise solution for this.
When we are not on the DRC, right? Rami, earlier when we come to the cloud only, we move to ARC to DRC, right?
No, Krishna. I mean, because the base of to enable the DRC functionality in SAP, you need certain setup. That's what we did so far in SAP. But because that's all we manually generating documents from SAP and uploading to IRS site and manually doing it to the E&Y.
Do you remember we always do the ARC for the 1099, right? For the legal requirement. Then they ask us to move to the DRC model, right? Last 2 years.
I think SAP changed the naming, I guess, right? So to make it,
they completely okay, got it. So there is no
so they changed the one common name.
Okay.
And the base for us, but my question was, does DRC having on-prem solution? So it looks like it's not there.
When you say DRC on-prem solutions, Rami, you're talking about all the eDocs and all the compliance data where it gets stored, right? That's what you're talking about, correct?
No. The transmission, basically, whatever the DRC cloud is doing to transmit to the Belgium authorities and the foreign authorities, so there must be some kind of functionality they're having it, right? I mean, in case of Korea, it's service provider. I think it's going to be CPI, but for Belgium, it should be DRC cloud. So I was thinking the same functionality is there within the on-prem.
Okay. Yeah.
It says no, right?
Yeah. So it's not there.
So moving on to, I think now it's clear, right? The invoice document type, mapping and assignment. So process manager configuration, we had a detailed discussion. So just wanted to ask few things before we move on to the company. So do you remember the steps or the flow, the process flow, how for Belgium we discussed what should be the flow basically when we have different triggers created, right? Like create, validate, etc. And what should be the hook for it, whether it should be optional, manual, automated. If you can remember or open the configuration as we were looking at just before. So I need your inputs now. So how would you imagine a Belgium flow to look like?
For Moody's, everything needs to be automated. Through
even submission Vinith, your Korean counterparts are not even ready to send something automatically without seeing. So they won't be very comfortable with total automatic.
See, Moody's as an organization works in a very startup oriented culture. Like we have very small thin teams, and we don't have like a very sort of like a very intensive organization. So in fact, in the current system also, you will be very surprised to know that our entire billing is fully automated. It's complete touchless system. Upstream submits the orders, basically a sales team. Directly the sales team submits the order, and then the invoice goes out of our door and nobody knows about it. Like it's a complete touchless system. So because of that, I doubt anybody wants to look at these particular invoice copies, because tax team is even more smaller. Like I think they only get involved once we pull up the reports and everything at the end of the process. So same goes for Korea. I think Korea, it's even worse, because I think Korea, we just have like 2 accountants. That's it for the entire region. And these are accounting people, not billing people. So they are doing everything. They are doing accounting, billing, sourcing, procurement, everything under the sun, all finance functions. So everything has to be automated full end to end.
Okay. But at least from the standard point of view, how Belgium flow has been mentioned, a process from the process configuration point of view.
But we have both the options there, isn't it, Advay? Like we have a manual through manual push and
yes. Jobs are different. AIF is application interface framework where job runs and updates. Those are different from the whole process side of it, right? So submission could be anyway an automatic process in job. You can schedule a job, it will pick all those e-documents, it will send it automatically. So that's typical background job process that is still there. But this is from the eDoc tool, the whole eDoc tool perspective. What are the typical steps there? Or in the whole process, let's say the first thing is automatic creation. So what do you mean by automatic creation? Is automatically a hook will get triggered. By hook, what we mean is BTs from the system will automatically trigger this creation, and then a validation. Let's say validation is again an optional step. It is not a mandatory step. So you can validate, or this is anyway, validation is an optional step. Submit, right? Submit can be a manual step. Submit can be through job, however you define. So user defined action, if you want it to happen through e-document cockpit, through background, you can define it as automatic step.
Can you give us, based on your experience, what should be the flow, so that at least when we talk to our business user, like at least we can present them the options that this is how the standard flow works. And then at that particular point of time, we can basically define that which step that they want to keep manual versus the optional. At least we want to get, at least from our side, I already know the answer that they want everything to be automatic, frankly speaking, but at least we can tell them that, okay, these are your options that you can, that is there, and you let us know which steps that you want us to automate.
Okay.
See, so, definitely the first piece, the creation through BT, like that BT process, I think that would that one will definitely be automatic, because as soon as you create the invoice, at least the eDoc should get created. After the eDoc gets created, the second step that you mentioned, the validation. I think Avnish also asked that question. Do we have all the list of validations that the system checks? Like
so
all the
so it's there in the ABAP program which runs beside. Also, we briefly talked about those validations when we saw the XML. So all these validations, standard validations that is required is in place. So if anything, any data that is going from the system that is not as per the required standards from, let's say, Belgium point of view, it will anyway become red, that it will show in status red. So you need to correct it, and then you can
so all these are like pre-built validations, and system will throw a message, error message, confirming that okay, these are the errors that you basically have to fix before you can basically push out. And how do we fix it? Like, okay, system has thrown their
because of
through
data.
that error.
Maybe looking at the error, and I have also to answer your question, I've also, with my experience, like whatever I have seen type of errors and very repeated type of errors, I've also mentioned in one place of the same document that different type of errors which is normally encountered and what needs to be done as a troubleshooting steps. So at least for the most of the used scenarios.
But at a high level, we need to then cancel that e-document, correct the error in the source, like basically either the business partner or the invoice, and then recreate the e-document. Correct.
Correct.
I doubt we can do anything at the document level.
Or at some countries also allow to change the e-document. It's on country regulation again, that if at all you see something, let's say, just giving a vague example, a PAN number or something which has additional digits might have come from the system, let's say, which is not expected. So at that moment, going back, checking, if you change in the e-document, the country accepts it. So that limited changes are, I think, allowed through e-document edit options for the country where it is allowed. So very limited. But again, canceling, going back, re-triggering, that's option if some error comes after correction in the source. That's why they have given easy navigation to source as well, so that you can immediately go correct, again come back and check.
Okay. But at a high level, once the e-document gets created, you have to like cancel, fix the source, and then do it. There's nothing can be done at the e-document level, correct?
No.
Okay, cool. Understood. So I think this is critical. Okay, at least just take that in mind, that all amendment has to be done in source, and then you basically cancel and retrigger that particular transaction. I think that's going to be like sort of like we basically have to educate to the business user. This is how they'll have to do it.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I use this transaction code EDOC_proc MGR.
Mm-hmm.
It's not working for me.
It's not transaction code, sorry. It would be SM30 or SM34.
SM30 also I checked. Let me check SM34 also.
SM34?
Use SM34.
Yeah. Yes, it's working.
It's a cluster view, so
it's a cluster view. Yes.
SM30.
Okay. So
thank you. Please continue.
So coming back, so we are talking about the process steps right now. I think you have a fair understanding of these steps. So let's say create. What would be the variant you would choose for create? It's already mentioned. Hook is the variant that you would choose because you would need to automatically create the document, validate. Again, it's optional, manual normally, or system automatically validates. But if you need to do any manual validations, then it's manual. So it's again an optional step, not required for Belgium at all. Then we have submit. So submit could be a manual or could be a hook. So you can send after. Sorry?
One clarification, like the process thing, how to connect, is it like the entire system, this process manager configuration, or so suppose if I create X process manager and I can put it 4 or 5 status are right. So then this will applicable entire process in the system, or specific document type, specific billing type.
Yes.
Yeah, within the country, can we have I have a finance documents, will go to the different status, and I have a billing documents with the different status, or I have intercompany documents with different status. Can we have that segregation, like how it works?
This doesn't link to status at all. So this is the step that needs to happen. These are code controlled. We saw in detail there were classes and methods tied to each of this variant. Let's say the hook, right? So there is a class, and whichever step you would mention as, let's say, create, and the variant is hook. That means in this step, there would be a code that will run, and without any manual intervention, it will automatically create the e-document for that particular process. Then there would be a variant called, let's say, submit. So submit's variant would be either a manual or a hook. So if it is a manual, then it will wait for a manual intervention, somebody to press the submit button. Then only it will send it to DRC cloud and then to PayPal. Otherwise, like for example, then we have complete, right? So complete is a total automatic, nothing is required from anybody there. So these kind of variants is what should be mentioned in a process steps. And again, there are different meaning of these variants. So hook would automatically execute whenever it is triggered by the system events. So system events, we saw in the very beginning, that we had BTs to trigger the system event. So hook specifically is a process variant that will automatically trigger any such BTs or event triggered by the system, right? Manual will wait for some user action in e-document cockpit there. Automatic, so there is also process variant automatic, which you would have seen while choosing the options. So automatic thing executes so when the previous step is completed. So it will not execute until it will wait for the previous step to complete, and then it will execute. For example, when there is a process that is complete, right? When you have submitted, you got a status that the invoice has reached to the destination, let's say to the customer, then then it will check that whether it is done, then it is complete, the whole cycle is complete. So that's the whole rationale for these variants, and these are all system. So these are, I would say, a code given to you to do few things in the system as per your wish. You do not have to code and tell in every scenario what needs to be done. Classes and methods are there for individual variants, and you just need to define a process. How? So that's very important. Like these processes would change from country to country, but the coding or the whole, I would say, the whole meaning will not change. Create cannot change from one country to another. Create means if a create is clubbed with a hook variant, that means create automatically, and every country would need either an automatic creation or a manual creation. Similarly, submit. Similarly, the other acknowledgement, right? You talked about response. So if you are getting a response, how would you put that? So you would put it in either a hook or you would put it in completion, right? So response would normally go to hook because it is automatically creation when the system triggers that. So your inbound messages has come, it has checked, and then system automatically triggers that your status needs to be updated. Yeah. Okay. So here, then again, there is a process status mapping, basically. So each technical status needs to map to a particular display status. For example, like created is e-document created. Then from the submission perspective, it would be ready for submission when you have sent it. So send to the, like when you have step variant as sent, then it would be saying send to the access point, etc. So all these settings you need to know, because everything is there in the system. So just you need to know these all.
In terms of the steps, when you're showing that a version and the step sequence, by configuration, does DRC restricts us that you have to at least have these 3 or 4 steps there for each country? Or yes. I know that from a customization perspective, we can add more steps, but the bare minimum steps that is there, like we have to have those particular steps there. Like, yes. Is there a hard limit there?
It's like, that's why through variant you can control. If you don't need anything, you can mention you have to don't know whether the change would be directly allowed, because you can choose it. You can choose your maybe the company code, the step. But as far as I know, these are the standard step which are anyway needed
Already
for the
configured
complete
through
flow.
standard
Yeah,
content.
correct.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Okay.
then you need to have your own customized flow, which will be again a very difficult process.
So these are all generic. E-document process is generic, not. So I see the lot of standard e-doc processes in here, like starting with the country BE kind of thing. If that is the case, if I want to create a separate Belgium, separate Argentina, separate Singapore, right? So where we connect these processes, like how do we connect? Like I want to run these processes only for specific country.
That's what I told. Like in our training, we started with this, right? The whole diagrams and what all these steps that are required per country. And that's where in Belgium, what are the process steps that is required. So these are country specific, right? Like for example, Belgium, let's say Belgium, we are discussing it from almost in all the examples, right, till now, because it's the simplest one. So let's take the Belgium process configuration. What would you do first? Which step would you do first?
Maybe process step in that case, right? The
process step, yeah. Great. Yeah.
Can we take our system and do a configuration? Let's do a step-by-step configuration for Belgium in a system. Like one of us can share a screen, and we can start following through the configuration.
We need.
Yes, you can.
BEINV, I checked, it's blank.
Where you are looking, Avnish?
In the
share your screen, Avnish. Share your screen.
So we are talking about this piece, correct? We are under process, and BEINV, Belgium INV, that's what you are showing, correct?
Correct.
If I click on the steps, I can see nothing is in here.
Okay, click on edit.
Okay.
Is there an edit button there?
Yeah, it's here. It's a cross client. We'll just click on it. Okay. Now, shall I go for a new entry?
Yes.
Okay. So e-process, we all know. All others are text fields.
Is this correct? Like, should we have the standard content here? Like, do we have to label something?
Yes, definitely, because standard content should flow in this automatically. All the process should be there. You just need to choose, or it should be already there. We do not create it.
Nothing is there.
Some content or some
I'll
notes
just cancel
or something.
That. If you want, I can come back.
Do we have a note for the standard content that we are like?
The content delivery would be there. I don't know, BC sets or something would be definitely there, because the whole configuration of process manager, since this is SSUI or a cluster, right? So definitely they should ship. SAP should have shipped the standard process steps and variants for sure.
Yeah.
In training system, everything was there.
Okay. I was checking. Did anything for Korea by any chance? Like, because in Korea, if I go, I was able to see a lot many steps in this.
No, this is all delivered one now.
Delivered one, yeah. The AR
okay,
also
so,
we can see the very beginning one. The AR also there.
So it seems like something is there is something that we are missing for Belgium then.
Yeah, you can go out there and see AR also there.
AR means Argentina. Okay.
The first one, yeah.
If you say Belgium, if you look at service type, it's a DRC cloud. Okay. For the Korea,
okay,
it's to the service provider, right? Maybe that's why you don't see the steps. I'm assuming it. So I think we need to look at that note from, I think, whatever Adnan is sharing in the document. That note may have information.
Should we figure out that note and apply it? Like, how do we do it?
Implementation guide. So probably we can go.
You're talking about.
Not this one. Yeah. On day one, Advay shared an implementation guide. So we need to basically.
There are basically, three steps are there. There is a standard page for DRC. We need to implement one TCA node, enable all the apps. Then specific to each country, we have a configuration. So the standard base almost is there. 1 or 2 nodes are missing. Korea, I started configuring it. So then that
Korea,
will
Japan, and some other countries also.
So Ram, main thing is that even if when we get the access to the test system, we can just play around from a transactional standpoint. I think because most of the configuration, they probably would have already done it. So can we start working with basis team to start implementing those particular nodes so that at least we can directly play around in a system from a configuration standpoint?
Yeah. That's what, probably next week I'll start, I'm just trying to put some guide basically. I think we need to have a guide across all the teams, master document for DRC, so that, we'll keep updating the stuff whenever we do it. Yeah, I think I'll share.
Sorry.
No, but we already created that implementation guide, so we can utilize that.
Yeah, just a quick share, just one sec. If you go to this view, right, SM30 and pick up this view, like you were talking about,
This is
activate the country here. So KR is already there. That's why we are saying it. Same way we have to create Belgium here, then the content will show up.
Check Belgium is not there, but
no. It's only Korea. Korea is there for now.
In that case, we have a lot of other countries also there, Krishna. I see India, Mexico, and Japan. A lot of countries are there. I can see all the process steps. Other countries.
Yeah, at least from what it shows is activate document and reporting DRC to a specific country. Korea is activated. Belgium is not showing.
Here, a lot of other countries I can see, but not configured here.
Because, we can only do the config to create e-document, but for Belgium, you need a DRC cloud subscription from BTP. That's separate work.
That could be.
That could be another reason. Yeah.
You can still do configuration in SAP, so especially each country. But once you have done the configuration, when you send the document, in DRC cloud has to be enabled. That we have subscribed.
Could be.
Second thing is,
but these process steps are for all the countries, like not specifically to Belgium. In training system also, we did not have any connection to DRC or BTP or anything which vendor provided, but there are a lot of standard content already there that we saw. So it must be delivered through some BC side, some content delivery that might have missed to update this particular SSU or this view cluster or SSUI, we call it as. So
most of them I can see, only Belgium missing some reason. Yeah, maybe we have
the one that we're trying to
Okay.
So that means we have to do a little more analysis on that. That gives us some.
Okay, I think let's do one thing. Let's continue with the content, and we'll probably block some time post break to analyze and see which note is missing. So that at least we can basically implement that, and we can basically activate the configurations and start playing around with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sharing my screen again.
See, till the time we basically start looking at a system and start doing those particular configurations, Advay, whatever you will teach us, I don't think we'll be able to get that embedded in our brain. So I think we need to get familiar with those particular configuration pages and how do we basically look at those particular configurations. Like if it is standard, that is standard, that's okay. But whatever steps manual that we have to do, we'll have to start looking at those particular items.
I think
end of the day, my goal is at least, regardless of the region, like Korea or like whatever, at least we should get at least one document created, like even e-doc created in DRC. If you're able to achieve that, I think that's going to be like our winning goal.
I found one interesting thing. Just let me share quickly 1 minute and get out from this topic here. So let me share my screen. Wherever you see service, the checkbox we don't see. Service is not there. It is there. That is the main difference I can find out. So that something we have to do the service. Is there any difference to the service?
Service is the cloud one. Service is the cloud one.
DRCC cloud service.
Okay, those wherever blank is there, it's working. Wherever the checkbox is there, not working. That is the main difference.
Yeah.
So
EIV is a checkbox, right? BIV has a checkbox. Belgium e-Invoice has the checkbox. All the
Now I
B.
can see these are the Brazil, right? Belgium.
No, B.
Yeah.
Just above that. B invoice, B
This one?
incoming invoice. Just below this, just two below this, then you have the checkbox service has checked.
Yeah. Correct. Maybe something we have to understand more on that. Okay, yeah, we can continue on the regular topic. Maybe we can do some more analysis there.
Okay. Now we have done for the process manager the steps, the statuses, the names, and now I'll talk little about the cloud connector setup. Right, it's not mentioned because it was out of scope for at least this particular training. I did not had any BTP access or such things, but I would explain again. A BTP expert would do this very easily. These are standard steps for connection. So again, why SAP Cloud Connector is required? So what it would do is it will create a secure, I would say, kind of a secure tunnel between your private cloud or on-premise SAP system and SAP BTP. So I'll go to BTP diagram so that we have one more. Okay. So what I'll also do is I'll create maybe for the class a BTP diagram so that you can easily see those steps in a very user friendly manner, and then you can also pass it on to your BTP consultant so that they will easily be able to identify. So the whole purpose is to create a secure tunnel between on-premise system or private cloud system to BTP. Right here, it it automatically handles encryption, authentication, and routing of e-document messages. So this BTP service take care of all these things. So normally in a cloud connector architecture, so your data would reside anyway in on-premise HANA systems. So through the secure tunnel, it will be replicated. In no way it will get copied. So it will be just replicated. What needs to go will be transferred. And this again transfer happens through a secure tunnel. Normally there are different terminologies for the secure tunnel. They call it as TLS 1.2, something like that. Then it goes to SAP Cloud, where SAP BTP tenant has as a service in SAP BTP tenant, DRC Cloud integration sits, and DRC Cloud Edition also sits there as a service, which ultimately connects to the PayPal network. So what would be required is maybe you need to download the SAP Cloud Connector from SAP support portal. Then all the server settings of your system needs to be done. Then installation of Cloud Connector needs to be done, standard steps. Then you have to again connect to the local port, maybe logging to the port or the host, login, then navigate to the connector. All the BTP steps, add your sub account, and then region. And if you would have worked upon BTP, these are all the standard steps: BTP sub account, your sub account ID, technical user, then add your roles, authorizations, etc. Everything there. Then you will configure your backend system access. So cloud to on-premise, you will have to navigate to your sub account when you need to add your system mapping, which ABAP system you would like to connect. Protocols could be SSL, HTTPS, whatever works. Again, internal host kind of environment. So all these processes in cloud that you need to carry out. Then I think this would be the connection steps. So, and why this is very critical, because it's a very critical security component. If you keep in mind the security, so Cloud Connector is very, very secure. So any data that you definitely, whenever there is a data flow, there would be question on the security aspect. because these business critical data. So it's completely secure, and that's the reason the cloud connector way is also suggested. Then the normal route RFC destination configuration SM59 that we already do in many of the cases where we have RFC based connections. I think iDocs also follow the same RFC destination connection. So for your scenario, you need to have a particular host, some service numbers, path defined version of HTTPS and cookies and all those things. Then SSL login and trust that we talked about. And then you will have to test your connection, like whether it is okay or it is ending up in error. So that's the whole thing with all the proxy settings, certificate, S trust management. And you need to do this same steps for even Korea, because and also Italy, because all these connections can be done once when you have a BTP in between. So all these connections needs to be done once. I think there would be some certificate imports. The SAP already provides that in a zip format whenever you can have the client certificate, SSL, all those part of thing that needs to be there. So BTP connection needs to be done with these steps that I could remember. Yeah, so maybe I could also prepare a separate document if you need for cloud connection. And if you feel that that could be helpful, I could.
I mean, we set up everything installed already. Probably specific to this one, I think, as you said, it's one-time setup. We just need to enable what all services need to be exposed out of SAP, right? So limit that one. If there is a standard guide, if we find it, let's share with us. So we can find.
Sure, no problem.
Specific to the
because BTP is up and running already for us. So we are already using BTP, but we are only using one component of BTP, like the integration suite part, because that is our middleware currently that we're utilizing to interact with SAP. Anything specific to DRC, just share, and then that would be great help for Rami and team, so that he can basically work with basis and the stakeholders to configure the system.
Sure. It's cloud connector only. So if you tell them cloud connector, they would understand. And this DRCC service for Belgium, they would know that.
Actually, the challenge is we don't have like a very dedicated team for BTP, so we are building that competency internally. So we are all learning and working through it. So whatever you can share specific to DRC, just share with us.
Definitely, sure, we'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now coming to the scenario, which again I would also like you to work upon, as you said that your success would be to create in e-document in a system, whichever way possible. So I have mentioned a sample scenario. Maybe you can have your own scenarios since you are already working on the projects, but this needs to be, where did it go? This needs to be tried out, and I mentioned these steps also, what needs to be done, what all things should have the steps. 1 minute. Where did it go?
This is a separate guide for Belgium, or this is like the part of the training guide that you have for everything?
This is the same guide which we are using it from the beginning.
Okay, understood.
And same materials would be there in the PPTs, but I feel this would be more useful than just walking through PPTs and diagrams. So
yeah, that's okay.
So now let's take a scenario where you need to have a company, a VAT number, a customer, and then few items and calculations on which you would calculate the VAT. So what should be the expected result is, let's say for invoice should be delivered, or at least for now, whatever configuration we have, at least any e-document should be generated in the system. So going towards steps, again, create a source document. You are the experts here. I don't have to talk about this. Verify in e-document cockpit. So if you configure things properly, there shouldn't be any issue in seeing the document in document cockpit. And then you can check, verify, locate, then play around with the document cockpit. You can also, if your country allows, you can also edit few things in the e-document. You can submit it to the DRC, and then this would be a normal process. If you have configured everything properly in BTP, then you will also get an acknowledgement, and you will at least get that sent to the access point. When it is received, you would get to know that. And if also you are talking about the application interface, the job interface, so you can also try this. Anyway, at the very last, I will cover AIF completely. It's a complete technical piece where the application job interface is a medium where all the jobs are configured for sending and receiving all kinds of messages. So for the moment, if you want, you can explore, or else we will have a dedicated session at the end of covering AIF. So you can check the logs, you can see what responses you get, and archiving anyway is not needed now because it would take some time, at least once the document is generated. So this would be a complete flow which I want you to try out.
Okay.